Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Cubits Lifestyle. I'm Feba and today I'm here with a new Bible story, Story of Joseph. It is a story based on Old Testament's first book, Genesis chapter 37 verses 1 to 17. Let's move on to the story. Jacob was living in Canaan and had 12 sons. Joseph was the youngest among all, and he used to tend to the flocks with his brothers. And he used to report about his brothers to his father. When his brothers learned that Joseph used to tell tales on them to their father, they started hating him. Joseph was 17 years old when Jacob gifted him a beautiful robe. When his brothers saw that their father loved Joseph more than any of them, they started hating him. One night, Joseph had a dream. The dream was like he was binding sheaves of corn out in the cornfield with his brothers. Suddenly, Joseph's sheaf rose and stood upright, and his brother's sheaf gathered around his sheaf and bowed down to it. Joseph told his dream to his brothers. They hated him more because of this dream. They asked him if he wanted to rule over them. Joseph had another dream. In this dream, he saw the sun, moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to him. He told his brother how the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed down to him in the dream. They thought of the 11 stars as themselves bowing down to Joseph, and their hatred deepens towards him. He told his dream to his father too. His father rebuked him. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you? Still, his father kept it in his mind. One day, his father told Joseph to visit his brothers who were grazing their flocks in Shechem. He went all the way to see his brothers. His jealous brothers saw him coming from afar and plotted against him. Reuben was against killing him. He said, let's put him in the well. Secretly, he had a plan to rescue Joseph. Joseph's brother took off his rich robe and put him in the well. At that time, they saw a group of Egyptian merchants who were passing thereby. They drew him out of the well and sold him to the Egyptian merchants for 20 shekels of silver. Joseph was taken to a slave market in Egypt. Potiphar, an official of Pharaoh, bought him from the Egyptian merchants. Meanwhile, the brothers killed a goat and dipped Joseph's rich robe in its blood. They returned to Jacob and showed him the blood-stained robe. Jacob assumed that Joseph must have been torn to pieces by a wild animal. Jacob tears his clothes, put on a sackcloth, and wails deeply. He says he will mourn the loss of Joseph for the rest of his life. After being bought as a slave by Potiphar, Joseph worked hard for his master. Potiphar was pleased with his hard work and promoted him in charge of his household. Potiphar's wife had ill intentions towards Joseph, but Joseph refused to deceive his master and was faithful to God. She falsely accused Joseph and sent him to jail. God was with him. The prison warden was impressed and put Joseph in charge of the other prisoners. One day, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker was sent to the prison where Joseph was being kept. One morning, both of them were frustrated because of the dreams they had. Joseph said, God can interpret dreams and ask them what was their dream. Pharaoh's cupbearer told him. In his dream, he saw a vine with three branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in his hand. He took the grapes, squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and gave it to him. Joseph told him, within 3 days, Pharaoh will get him back to his job. Joseph then asked the cupbearer to mention him to Pharaoh. The baker also told his dream. In his dream, there were three baskets of bread on his head. Birds were eating them out of the basket on his head. Joseph said, within 3 days, Pharaoh will find you guilty and hang you. And the birds will peck away your flesh. 3 days later, Pharaoh pardoned the cupbearer and took him back to his job. He ordered the baker to be executed. But the cupbearer completely forgot about Joseph. One night, Pharaoh had a dream. In his dream, he was standing by the Nile River when 7 fat cows came up out of the water and began to feed on the grass. Then 7 very thin bony cows came out of the river and stood by the other cows on the river bank. The thin cows ate up the fat cows. And then he had another dream. He saw 7 head of grain, full and ripe, growing on one stalk. Then sprouted 7 other heads of thin and dry grains. These thin head of grain swallowed the full ones. The king was so disturbed by his dreams. The next morning he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt, but no one could explain his dream. The cupbearer then remembered Joseph and explained to Pharaoh what happened back then. Joseph was brought to see Pharaoh. Pharaoh explained him his dreams. The two dreams mean the same thing. Joseph explained. God has told you what he is going to do. The 7 fat cows and 7 full head of grains shows 7 years of great plenty in all of Egypt. The 7 thin cows and 7 thin heads of grains are 7 years of terrible famine that follows. You must choose a man with wisdom and put him in charge of the country. During the 7 years of plenty, store the grain. During the 7 years of famine, you can then use the stored grains so people will not starve. Pharaoh and his officials liked this plan. Pharaoh put the ring engraved with the royal seal on Joseph's finger. Joseph was granted authority as the second most powerful man in the kingdom. Pharaoh gave Joseph an Egyptian name and a wife. Just as Joseph had predicted, there were 7 years of surplus harvest in Egypt. The excess crops were stored in granaries. Each year, more crops were stored. After 7 years, the granaries were full to overflowing. The famine began. In Egypt, there was plenty of grain in the storehouses. Joseph opened the granaries and sold grains. There were no food in all the surrounding countries. People came to Egypt in search of food. When Jacob heard that food grains was available in Egypt, he sent his sons to Egypt to buy grains. But Jacob wouldn't let Joseph's younger brother Benjamin to go with them, fearing some harm might come to him. When they arrived, they were told to report to the ruler in charge of grain supplies. They did not know this was their brother Joseph. Joseph was shocked to see his brothers arriving. He recognized them but they did not recognize him. The 10 brothers bowed down before him with their faces to the ground. Joseph pretended not to know them. "Where are you from?" he demanded. "From the land of Canaan," they replied. Joseph accused them of being spies. "No, my lord," they protested. "Your servants have simply come to buy food. We are all brothers of the same family. Our youngest brother is back in Canaan." "You are spies," Joseph insisted. Then he said, "I am a God-fearing man. Do as I say, and you will live. One of you must remain in prison. The rest may go home with grain. But you must bring your youngest brother back to me to prove that you are telling the truth." The brothers agreed. Simon was taken off to prison. When they got home, they told Jacob all that had happened. Jacob was terrified when he saw the returned money. He said, "Joseph is gone, Simon is gone, and now you want to take Benjamin too?" Jacob refused to let Benjamin go to Egypt with them. He said, "His brother Joseph is dead, and he is all I have left. If anything happened to Benjamin, I would die." His sons promised him to take good care of Benjamin and left with Benjamin. His brothers brought Benjamin to Joseph. He felt excited meeting his brother. Simon was also released. Joseph was too happy to see his brother. He wept in secret. He made a feast for his brothers. He made a plan to get Benjamin stay back with him. His men hid his silver cup in Benjamin's crops and caught him for robbery. But his brothers were too worried about their father that they tried to protect him. Then Joseph revealed himself to his brothers. He hugged his brother Benjamin and comforted his brothers who were guilty. When news reached Pharaoh's palace about Joseph's brothers, Pharaoh told Joseph to get his father, brothers, and all their families to Egypt. The brothers returned to Canaan to bring their father and families to Egypt. "Joseph is still alive," they told him, "and he is governor of all the land of Egypt." Jacob was excited by the news. Everyone packed up their belongings and came to Egypt. Jacob could hardly believe his eyes. The son he thought was dead was alive. The two of them embraced and wept. Jacob, his 12 sons, and their families settled in the region of Goshen in Egypt. Hi guys, did you like the story? I hope you guys liked it. If you liked the story, please like, share, comment, and for further updates, subscribe to my channel. Bye.